You ever have someone try to tow your $300,000 combine in the middle of harvest season because they didn't like how it looked from their backyard patio? Yeah, that happened. And what she didn't realize, bless her HOA-loving heart, was that she didn't just mess with a farmer. She interfered with a state-leased agricultural operation protected under federal infrastructure guidelines. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up a sec. I've lived on the edge of this tidy little HOA neighborhood for almost 10 years now. My land wraps around their subdivision like a big green horseshoe. 160 acres of state-leased farmland I've been contracted to manage for strategic agricultural production. Sounds fancy, I know. But mostly it means I grow a lot of corn and keep the paperwork straight. For years, it was peaceful. I worked my fields. They hosted backyard barbecues and argued about fence paint. We waved occasionally, kept our distance. You know what I mean? Then Karen got elected HOA president. And the moment she got that clipboard, it was like watching a toddler discover a taser. First came the noise complaints about my roosters. Mind you, they've been crowing longer than most of those houses have had gutters. Then it was the aesthetic disruption of my grain silos. She once used the phrase visual contamination. I had to write that one down. But the real war kicked off during harvest season. Harvest isn't flexible. When the state says go, you go. Weather windows, supply chain timing, emergency preparedness quotas. It's not a hobby, it's a schedule. So there I was, sunrise glowing over the north field, Johnny Cash humming through the cab speakers, dust lifting golden in the air. Peaceful. Productive. American as it gets. By mid-morning I see her. Arms crossed. Neon orange windbreaker. Clipboard tucked like a weapon. Standing at the property line staring at my combine like it personally insulted her hydrangeas. I pulled up alongside the hedgerow and waved. She didn't. Instead she shouted, "You are violating communal peace standards." Communal peace standards. I almost swallowed my coffee wrong. I told her, calmly, politely, that the land was state-leased agricultural property, not HOA territory, governed by county and federal agricultural codes. I'd explained this before. She snapped back, "It's within our visual domain." Visual domain. Like she thought sightlines granted jurisdiction. "You're looking at a tractor," I told her, "not the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse." No smile. Not even a twitch. That night I parked the combine 74 feet inside state land. GPS confirmed, locked up the barn, and went home figuring she'd send another dramatic email blast and call it a victory. Next morning, the combine was gone. Just gone. Gravel empty. Tire marks leading to the service road. At first I thought maybe the state had pulled it for inspection. Checked my phone. Nothing. Then I saw the paper taped to my barn door. Towed abandoned machinery, HOA safety oversight. I laughed. Out loud. I genuinely thought it was a prank. Then it hit me. She'd actually done it. She'd called some backwoods towing outfit and had them haul off a 12-ton state-contracted combine during an active harvest window. And that's when I smiled. Because she didn't just inconvenience me. She triggered a federal infrastructure interference protocol. By noon, I had a state agricultural compliance officer, a sheriff's deputy, and a transportation integrity rep standing in my field. And here comes Karen again, orange windbreaker blazing like a warning flare. The inspector turned to her, calm as a church pew. "Ma'am, can you explain why you ordered the removal of state-leased agricultural equipment during an operational window?" She puffed up. It was a nuisance. Within our visual range. The inspector didn't even hide the smirk. "Visual range," he said, "is not legal jurisdiction." You could see it happen in real time, the gears grinding, the confidence draining. Then they showed her the survey map. Big red boundary lines. Her HOA was nowhere near the combine's location. And then came the twist she didn't see coming. One of her own HOA members had forwarded her community-wide email to the state. She had bragged. She'd sent out a message titled, "Protecting Our Community from Unsightly Encroachment," with photos of my combine being lifted like a war trophy. 7 anonymous submissions, the agent told me later. 7. Turns out Karen was making enemies faster than I could harvest corn. And then we pulled the dash cam footage. I'd forgotten the combine even had one. There she was, clear as day, pointing at the tow operator, posing for pictures, saying, "This will show him who runs this neighborhood." I had to sit down laughing. It was like a cartoon villain narrating her own downfall. The tow company? Not licensed for heavy agricultural equipment. No permits. No insurance. What started as petty HOA overreach turned into unauthorized interference with protected agricultural infrastructure and illegal equipment recovery. Sheriff delivered a citation to her front door. And suddenly the HOA board wasn't so united. Neighbors started showing up at my gate. Apologies. Handshakes. One guy brought pie. Her name disappeared from the HOA website within a week. You'd think that would have been the end. Nope. 3 days later, I get a certified letter from her attorney accusing me of emotional distress and visual degradation. She demanded I cease farming within 500 feet of the HOA boundary under something called a community peace ordinance. That is not a real thing. That sounds like something you invent in a Disney villain monologue. So I handed the letter to the same compliance officer. He read it once and said, "She really sent this?" 36 hours later, she received a formal warning from the state advising her to cease further interference immediately. And then she filed the lawsuit anyway. Here's where it gets delicious. The regional zoning judge assigned to the case? I'd worked with him 5 years prior on a land use reform task force. I'm not just some guy with a tractor. I'm a certified land strategist under state contract. He threw her case out before it even hit the docket and advised her to consult someone who actually understood agricultural designation law. Her attorney quit on the courthouse steps. That's not exaggeration. He literally walked away. And that's when the HOA turned on her. Turns out she'd reimbursed herself from HOA funds for administrative stress. Covered the towing fee from emergency reserves. Approved expenses without board consent. Emergency meeting. Vote called. She was out. But Karen doesn't go quietly. A few weeks later, she tried one last power play, hosting a fall harmony festival at the HOA Green. Food trucks, bounce houses, live music, a big PR redemption arc. What she didn't account for, the only access road into that subdivision was privately owned. By me. Tractor Way. See, I'd purchased the agricultural service road parcel months earlier through a trust. The HOA only had easement rights, and the renewal term had expired. I didn't block residents, but commercial vendors required permits. Permits that needed approval. Approval that moved slowly. Festival day came. Bounce house truck turned away. Barbecue smoker trailer waited an hour behind my legally parked combine unloading hay before giving up. Food vendors left one by one. Meanwhile, less than a quarter-mile away, I hosted Harvest Day. Kettle corn, pony rides, live bluegrass band. Sheriff eating a turkey leg by the bonfire. Families drifted over. Music carried across the hedgerow like an invitation. Karen stood on a sagging stage with a megaphone while her half-inflated bounce house wheezed behind her. Then she tried to enter my event. And that's when the off-duty deputies politely intercepted her. Trespass notice. Signed. Filed. Turn around or ride in the cruiser, they told her. She turned around. The silence from the HOA that night? Deafening. But I wasn't done tying loose ends. She tried to petition the county to declare Tractor Way a public road. Too late. I'd already filed to convert it into a gated agricultural easement with keypad access. Residents signed the agreement acknowledging private ownership. Everyone except Karen. Without signing, she had to take the long gravel detour road, 20 extra minutes, potholes and creek crossings included. Every single day. Then came the mailbox. Since the road renaming, everyone's address updated to Tractor Way. I commissioned a custom welded tractor-shaped mailbox at the gate. Working red flag and all. Kids loved it. Mail carrier adored it. Karen had to collect her mail from a mailbox shaped like the very machine she tried to erase. Poetic doesn't even begin to cover it. Eventually, her house went up for sale. Quiet listing. No open house fanfare. I watched from my porch as the moving truck packed her life into cardboard. She didn't look at the fields. Didn't look at me. Didn't look at the sign. The gate opened automatically for the licensed movers. She had to wait behind them, no code access. When the gate finally creaked shut behind her SUV for the last time, she paused at the edge of the road. Sunflowers blooming in the field beyond. Then she drove away. And just like that, the loudest person in the neighborhood left without a word. Steve became HOA president. They hosted a potluck. Someone brought a tractor-shaped cake. Chocolate with green frosting. We laughed. No one mentioned her name. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need shouting matches. All I needed was patience, paperwork, and a road named after the thing she underestimated. So here's what I'll leave you with. Was it petty? Maybe. Was it legal? Absolutely. But when someone tries to control what they don't understand, where do you draw the line between standing your ground and teaching a lesson? I'm curious, what would you have done? Let it slide or plant your flag and rename the road? Drop your thoughts below. I've got kettle corn in time.